Rev-Up office numbers are 572-0383 and 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
Hello there, good morning, good afternoon, good night to our listeners and to our viewers in St. Lucia and across the globe, especially those of you checking us out on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on X, and also on DBS Television. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Monday, it's the 19th of May, and my name is Andre Paul, the co-host of the show today, the beautiful Keena. Keena, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, listeners. It's good to be back. It's a brand new week, and whether you're tuning in on Rev-Up St. Lucia 97.1 FM, catching the live stream on YouTube, Facebook, on X, like Andre said, and also the simulcast on DBS Television, thank you so much for making us part of your day. And I gotta send kisses to mwah, mwah, mwah.
You do it best. I was at a session on Saturday night down in Dennery, and a young lady came up to me and she said to me, "Can I get a hug, please?"
Aww.
I said to her, "No problem." I gave her a hug, and she said to me to tell you hello for her.
Oh,
she didn't tell me her name.
Whoever you are, hello.
So I was assuming that she knows you. You
I don't
any-
know. Whoever
know
you
anybody from
are,
Dennery?
hello right back. Kisses.
You don't know
Mwah.
anybody in Dennery?
I know a few people in Denver, but I wouldn't know who
All right, okay.
may have said that to
Got
you.
you,
So,
got you,
yeah, that's
got
what
you.
I'm saying.
All right, yes. Because I was there playing. I couldn't get a chance to really, converse with her. So I just said, okay, I gave her a hug, and
That's
she told me,
good you gave
be
her a
sure you
hug.
tell Keena I said hello.
Oh,
so I'm
thank you.
assuming that she knows you.
Maybe.
Or maybe you know her, or
Maybe.
something like that. Okay. Looking for a place to enjoy a memorable night with a special person or just a night with friends? Well, come to JJ's Paradise and indulge in our weekly specials. Monday and Thursday nights, it's steak night. So if you go to JJ's tonight, that's Monday. And also on Thursday, you can get and enjoy steak. And Wednesday nights, it's seafood night at JJ's. So come and enjoy delicious meals in a relaxing atmosphere at JJ's Paradise in Marigo Bay. For reservations, please contact JJ's at 721-7693. That's 721-7693. JJ's Paradise. Okay, Keena. And of course, today I gotta mention a big up to the folks at the Tomaso Bread Place.
Oh, good
Especially
morning to
Yaslin,
you guys.
especially
Hi,
Yaslin and the entire family. So today they have saffron rice, ground provisions, mac and cheese, stewed chicken wings, lentils, and garden salad.
Saffron rice.
Now, you're the cook. So let me ask you, what is the thing about a garden salad? What's the thing about a garden? Why a garden salad? Do you have any idea?
You're asking me why a garden
You're the
salad?
cook.
It's just the
You're the
name,
cook.
a garden salad. It has almost everything, not almost everything there, but pretty much the basics. Yeah.
Okay.
Lettuce, it should have carrots in there, maybe tomatoes.
All right. I think maybe I should have looked that up.
Maybe you should ask Yaslin. Everybody has
You're
their
the
own
cook.
version of garden salad.
I wonder why they call it a garden salad. Yeah, let me see. A garden, S-A-L-A-D. Okay, all right. Says
It's
here.
just vegetables in there.
A
pretty
simple
much.
salad typically featuring a mix of fresh greens and vegetables, often including lettuce, as you said there, tomato, and cucumber that are commonly grown in a garden. So it makes sense. It makes sense right now. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
I
so-
love when you just go on Google. Sometimes challenging you a bit makes it easier.
Yeah.
You like to do that. So I send you right back to Google, your favorite spots.
So that's what you can enjoy at the Tomaso Bread Place today. Saffron rice, ground provisions, mac and cheese. I know you like that one, right?
Oh, I haven't had mac and cheese in a little while. I think the last time I had it was for my birthday.
It's all over the place. I mean, almost every place, almost any eatery
Yeah,
usually
has
get the mac and
I
cheese.
think people love it.
They certainly do.
They love it. It used to be, back in the day, you only had mac and cheese on a Sunday. So now you have the choice
That's
of having
true.
it.
That's true. It was a Sunday thing.
Of having it every day,
Yes,
which simplifies the process, especially and it's very filling too, Andre. So for me, sometimes I would just have mac and cheese and I'm good. Nothing else.
That'll keep you for a few hours.
Yeah, it
Okay.
does, actually.
So you can get the mac and cheese there today, the stewed chicken wings, the lentils, and the garden salad. All right? And of course, don't forget all the CMOS favorites. including coconut, ginger, peanut, and peanut punch, and regular sea moss with flaxseed and chia seeds. All are happening at the Tomaso Bread Place today. Now, we have to say a special good morning to our comrade, Tony Paul, who is not with us today. Tony is actually under the weather. Yeah, so he may take a few days off. I'm not too sure. But let's see what happens.
It's rare that it comes from him to say that he's not well. He's always on the go. So Tony Tones, Toenail,
Yes.
Tony Paul, sending you love and kisses. Mwah. Get well soon.
Mm-hmm.
We miss you already.
Exactly. You know, my dear brother.
Yeah.
Yes, so it's just kind of feels a little strange, you know, that he won't be coming in today. Yeah, because he's been here basically every day since we opened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, boy, ça peut faire. C'est la vie. You know, we all at some point going to have our little issues. Now, before I even move on, I have to say good morning, Keena, to what's her name again? She always chimes in. Look, I'm not even remembering her name right now. A regular chimer. But since last week, I think I haven't heard from her again. She's into the politics thing.
Oh, Jojo. Hey, Joella Yard. How you doing?
Right, Joella. I'm wondering what's going on. I haven't heard from her.
Well, she did say that she'll take a break, and she did say why.
She said she's going to take a break. She did?
Yeah.
I know during the Lenten period she took a break.
She returned and something happened, and she did say I won't go into it right now, but she did mention that she would take a break.
All right, Joella. Well. I mean, we miss you. We miss your chiming in. So we hope that you're okay and that you'll get back to business soon.
Very,
right?
very soon. We miss you. Sending you kisses. Mwah.
Okay, Keena, anything you want to mention before we move on?
There's so many things happening on the entertainment front. We know we've been hearing about P. Diddy and what's been happening. Sean Combs. Some people say, what should we call him anyway? Should we say Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Sean Combs? What should we?
Choose your choice.
Okay, well, for now, I'll say, Sean Combs. Right? So we know what's been happening with him in the news and Cassie Ventura and the allegations leveled against him. So that court case started last Monday, and so many things happened in that courtroom. For some individuals, they were left shocked by some of the things that he did. For other individuals, they blamed Cassie and said, okay, she was just money hungry and going after it. But we have to look at it on another side, because she started with P. Diddy quite young, 19, her first album and so on. Well, and it escalated into something I guess she didn't foresee coming. So he was a lot older too. And some of the things that she was subjected to, they're very, very shocking, very disturbing allegations coming out of that courtroom. And even on her end as well, some of the things that she admitted to doing, that too, they were very disturbing. It would be pretty interesting to see what happens in the next coming days. And what happens, will he go to jail, or will he be a free man after that hearing is done?
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean, I'm sure the prosecution will try to paint her with all kinds of colors. One thing for sure, I'm sure they will dig up information that would show she was probably a willing participant.
As they did.
Yeah, so
on day 4.
That is inevitable. But and you said earlier that Sean Diddy Combs is a lot older than she is.
Yeah, maybe by 30-something years or so on.
So I'm always curious, why does that come up? Why should that be an issue in terms of age difference?
Because a lot of the times when you hear cases of that, especially abuse of that sort, it's a guy or a man having so much wealth and everything around him at his fingertips, and getting with someone so much younger and taking advantage of that. And in that case, that's what we're seeing happening, because based on information actually making rounds now, his former bodyguard did come out and say, I think sometime last year, when Cassie actually filed that lawsuit against Sean Combs, he did do an interview and he said that he never saw Sean Combs ill-treat Jennifer Lopez, talk down at her, anything of that sort. Jennifer Lopez was very much aware of what was happening around them, and she took a stand. As it relates to Shine and what happened to Shine and that nightclub shooting, that's something else. But he never raised his hand on her from what that bodyguard said. So we're only hearing of Cassie and other women around him, but they were around Cassie's age or a little older, not around his age or Jennifer Lopez's age. And the other individual that we are hearing of is Kim Porter. he was dating her for, I think they were in a relationship for an extended period of time, and they do have children together. There are allegations of abuse there as well, but Kim Porter has never publicly come out to say that she was abused by Sean Combs.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as this sort of thing is concerned, where certain women allegedly get abused and those who didn't get abused, I think it has a lot to do with one's personality. I think whether male, female, depending on your disposition, people know and can kind of read what they can get away with, right? So if Cassie was more the pleasing type, because she's probably more desperate than a J-Lo, for example, who is much more independent and so on. Men and women, they read those things. You don't even need to say anything.
And to add vulnerability to Cassie as well, because she was very vulnerable at that age too.
Well, exactly. So you read those things. You read those things. The body language is very, very powerful, and that's why it's always important for us as parents to ensure that we boost our children's confidence and so on, and let our children know that, listen, you're special. I'm going to treat you special. So if she came from an environment where she was used to that sort of thing, being abused at home, I'm not saying that's what happened, but around her, so she was kind of like sort of meek person, not speaking up and so on. I was watching an African movie yesterday, and the movie was about this young lady. She looked like a student, right? Where she got involved with a teacher. I don't know if that was her teacher or if it was just a teacher who got involved with the. Now, I didn't like that, to be honest. If I said that just ain't cool. Nonetheless, she was saying that she is in love with this guy, and he's saying he's in love with her. But her father now, who was a very, very prominent person in the society and who was a police chief, he basically arrested the guy and was torturing him and doing all kinds of things, treating the guy really, really badly. And the guy's trying to say to him, I'm in love with your daughter, no matter what I love her. And the girl, she's putting up a lot of resistance, right? Now, the father slaps her a few times and threatened. Now, I think in the case of her mother, he almost slapped her as well. But she stood up to him. She basically let him know, hey, you want to slap me? You want to slap me? That's what you're going to... So you see, he kind of knows who he can slap and who he can't slap. He slapped some of his staff as well. Some of the police officers, he gave a female one slap. He gave another guy one slap. I said, hey, that's a slapping game, man. So he was just slapping people all over the place. But the wife, he didn't mess around with her at all, because she gave off this impression that she's a strong woman. Now, I had that. When initially the wife now kind of sided with him, it got to the point where she felt she was being unfair to her daughter, because that's her only daughter. And the daughter actually left the house.
How old was the daughter?
Probably maybe, 18, 19, somewhere around there. So she left the house to make a point, and she says, I'm not going back to that house until my father accepts the fact that I'm in love with this guy. Even if he's a teacher. Now, the father is really angry at that fact. If you get the guy took advantage of his daughter, and guess what? She's pregnant as well. So, Heather, when the mother now, who was kind of supporting the father, she just suddenly turned against him. Meaning, she said to him, listen, you ain't coming to sleep in that bed tonight. He was coming to sleep, and she said, you ain't sleeping in that bed tonight. And she was just blocking him each and every point. He tried to get away from her. She's blocking him. She said to him, take your pillow and go outside. He took the pillow and he went outside to go on the couch. She blocked him again. And she was making a point saying, you cannot treat your daughter like that. I will not allow you to treat your daughter that way. So she was standing up to him and saying to him, you can't do those things. And guess what? Eventually he chilled.
And what happened next?
Of course, they made up and everything, really
and he
emotional.
accepted the daughter's boyfriend, and they came into the house.
That's
and
right.
Everything of that
he apologized and everything.
One big happy family.
But the point I'm making is that the girl, she was strong. Even if she was kind of afraid of the father that he was going to hit her, which he did, she didn't back down. And the wife didn't back down either. And that's the point I'm making. So sometimes you need somebody to stand up for you.
To stand up, yeah. It's important. And violence is never okay. Sometimes people figure, I get angry and I'm just going to swing my hand because I'm angry. No, keep your hands to yourself. No matter how angry you get, you should find, we are all adults. People are not children. So there are ways of saying what you need to say in a calm manner. And if you do get to the point that you're really angry, just don't say anything at all.
Yeah, well.
And I do agree with what you said. So one individual might think it's okay, might hit someone, and someone else they can't, because they pick up on that kind of energy.
Yeah,
that do not cross me.
You
because
can, you can
do,
read it. You can read it.
and it's going to turn out to be something really, really bad. So you don't.
So you have one female, right, who a guy reads between the lines that she's vulnerable, and they do it. And you have another female, just the look in her eyes alone telling you, don't mess with me, man.
And it could also be, I'm not actually defending anybody. It also can be a case where you never know what's happening in someone's life at the time. Are they drinking more? Are they heavy on any other type of drug? Are they going through stressful situations, so they're snapping easily by certain things that wouldn't have, angered them before, and is now angering them? And if you realize that you have individuals around you like that, you need to tell them, hey, you were not like that before. You really need to do some introspection and get it checked, see what's happening with you.
And what was interesting about this case there with Cassie and P. Diddy, we all know what happened when he struck her and so on, and he pulled her and pushed her and shoved her. We all saw the video.
Yeah.
That she took him to court over that. Well, she was about taking him to court, and he settled the matter immediately. Now, we never knew what the amount was, but now we know.
$20 million.
Yeah, $20 million was paid to her.
Yeah.
And you see, he tried his best not to get her to testify against him, and look at what happened now. She was forced now.
No, because the evidence was already out there. So if the evidence is out there and there's allegations of a crime being committed, not just against Cassie but other people, obviously the state would now have to intervene.
Yeah, but
I think that's what happened.
But the point I'm making is that he thought by paying her the $20 million he'd get away, but he still didn't. Yeah.
We always say this too. We can't hide forever. And at some point in time, the truth will come to light. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Sean Cole.
Now, when you say that, that is true. And I hope people who are listening, including yours truly right here, that saying applies to everybody.
Everyone.
Because we have a way, we always seem to think that it's not us. We're talking about somebody.
Yeah.
We're thinking as though like it's somebody else. We're realizing that when we do our evil things to people, that the same way we're saying you're going to pay, we are going to pay as well. So we must keep that in mind.
As the saying goes, when you're pointing that finger, how many is pointing back at you?
Exactly.
So it's very important that we think about that as well, because in Peter's case, he was very abusive. He was doing drugs and so on. We could talk, but we could go deeper into it as well. How are we dealing with the individuals in our lives? P. Diddy might have been very physically abusive and verbally abusive to Cassie, but look at us. Each of us individually should take stock of our lives and be like, okay, what am I doing in my relationships? Am I mean to my significant other? Do I yell? Do I ignore the person? Do I not pay attention to my significant other or my children? So all of these things we need to take stock of. So whilst we're judging PDD and we figure, okay, my life is perfect, I'm not hitting my significant other, but in other ways you are causing damage to that person in your life or your children.
Exactly. And one of those ways, especially I find with females, is through verbal abuse. A lot of females, because they can't really hit, although they can, but they most likely will not hit a guy, but they verbally abuse the guy. That does happen.
Sometimes
and men do it as well.
Out where that verbally abusive aspect comes from with females. And I think for some females, it could be maybe what happened in their household, and for some others, it could be, hey, I've had enough. And that's the only thing. It's me crying out and telling you, hey, please stop that. And that's my way of getting control, to get the man into submission. But I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, but I think the latter is what it is. Yeah. It's just the female. As I said, she knows she's not as strong as the male. In most cases, there are times, of course, you get some really strong females. I mean, physically strong. So in a case that you're talking about, is the last resort kind of thing. Well, okay, I can't hit you, even if I'd like to do that.
But we women know what to say to get under the belt, and we can really bring that home.
Yeah.
When we really want to get that point across.
The verbal abuse.
We can.
The verbal abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Whether it's done and whether it's done by a female or by a male, it's not right.
It's not.
So you have to find some other way of dealing with it. And I just gave a perfect example, right? You stand up to the man. Yeah, you stand up to him and let him know that early o'clock.
Earlier,
That
it's
you're
very
not putting
important.
up with
Exactly.
any pappy show.
If it happens once, it happens, you accept it, or you be like, you know what, okay, it's going to happen again.
So just quickly, Chris Brown is also in some problems. Yeah, in the UK. Apparently
Yes,
something
he
happened
is.
a few years ago. I
In
think about
2023, where he smashed a bottle of Ciroc, or not quite sure, but vodka, on a producer's head. Yeah.
So the British, apparently they were waiting for him. He's supposed to be performing in England. So
He's
when
supposed to be in, I can't remember, in Scotland or somewhere. I'm not sure. But Chris Brown was in the UK in 2023, because I was in the UK in 2023, and I actually went to one of his performances. And that's around that time it happened. And he obviously went back to the States where he continued touring, but apparently that producer did not make a report. It didn't happen in 2023, but he did not report on it right away. But they're thinking that Chris Brown could have been a flight risk, so they arrested him. And to think that just hours before that, he posted on X, free Tory lanes.
Free what?
Tory lanes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
just hours before his arrest. That was his last post, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, well, all these guys, I guess they're friends.
Yeah, they are friends. They are friends. But so what happens next with Chris Brown? I don't know at this point.
Well, let's see what happens. But for sure, an active investigation is underway, and he's going to have to stand trial.
Yes, he will.
And there's a possibility he may take some jail.
Possibility.
Possibility.
The UK don't play.
Oh yeah.
They
oh, yeah.
they don't play.
The UK, the US, the US. Yeah.
If he was in the US, he may have kind of depending. But let's see what happens. Let's see how it plays out.
Okay. I was saying to somebody who called this morning that since last week Sunday it's been raining.
Yeah, it has been.
Yesterday made it an entire week, right? Because I remember I was traveling to Choiseul, and our way down on the west coast, it was just constant drizzle on our way down, our way back up, constant drizzle. And ever since that day, it's just been, showers, just some to a greater extent and others to a lesser extent. So I don't know exactly what's going on. Some system must be affecting us for
We
quite
do
a while.
have a weather system affecting us. I actually spoke with someone in Grenada yesterday, and they said they didn't have any rain. So yeah, maybe I'll call somebody at the Met Office to find out what's going on.
I spoke to my daughter last night. She told me it's been raining in Barbados as well. Yeah, but there's a tropical wave. Imagine there's a tropical wave. I read that this morning, located over the far eastern tropical Atlantic. This is slowly moving westward at 9 miles per hour.
Right.
I said, this is kind of strange. I mean, a tropical wave in May? Although then I guess June.
But it's
is
not
just
too far off,
Yeah.
though. We have experienced them in the past. But I was reading something online as well on St. Lucia Times, and Virgil Saltibus, she actually advised residents then sometime last week to stay alert for possible flooding and landslides as the wet season approaches, because we're in that season, close to the hurricane season. And like you said, we have been experiencing rainfall since last week. So
Yeah, it was just interesting when I saw that this morning. A tropical wave. I think, huh? Yeah. But let's monitor and see what's going on. But of course, we know that there's been a prediction already. At least 17 named storms expected for this year's Atlantic hurricane season. 17 named storms. So there's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. And we have governments now. In fact, our Prime Minister has been saying so for the longest while. Our current Prime Minister has been saying that his greatest fear is all the gains, as far as he's concerned, that the country has made over the last 4 years under his administration, could be ruined in just one fell swoop. You just need one severe system to knock out all the gains. And he said that's his greatest fear.
And I understand. The way back to square one, because we have been there before and we know what that's like. So every time the hurricane season approaches, for some people they live in fear because they might be still staying around in the same neighborhoods, flood zones and landslide areas. So that fear kicks in every time this year around. But I will add to that, right? If you can get home insurance, please do. It's very important that you do. If you are able to pay for it, no matter what your house. I did speak with the insurance agents the last time that they were here, and they did say if you have a plywood structure, a wooden structure, they will insure it as well. So if you are able to financially do that, then go ahead and do it. It protects you and your family as well.
Definitely. I agree with you 100%. As you correctly said, there's a caveat there, if you can afford.
Yes.
Because for some people, we just barely
can't.
Making it in this country. And the director of the OECS, Dr. Didicus Jules, he spoke about what small island developing states are facing. He was giving a talk, and he called it a polycrisis, a polycrisis where you have a number of things that are coming at you at the same time for small island developing nations, and it's hard for us to cope. He spoke about the economic, environmental, technological, geopolitical, all converging and hitting you left, right, and center.
Left, right, and center. They're coming
wow.
at us at once.
Yeah, what a world, boy. What a world we're living in. And I was saying that to a friend of mine. He said, boy, I mean, I know I'm not going to be around forever. That's impossible. At some point I have to go. But I really, really fear for the next generation. As to how they are going to manage with these crises that the world is facing. As a parent, you wish you could be there and to help them maneuver and to assist them in whatever way that you can, but there comes a time that you have to step aside.
Yeah.
And they're kind of on their own.
I'm sure just like us, and we somewhat find our way without the help of our parents, governments, and other organizations, they too will have the same.
You really believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah? That there will always be a way to deal with the crises that come around. So what if there's going to be a world war now involving nuclear weapons? How did they survive that?
Go under a bunker? I'm just playing. I'm not sure when that happens. Let's hope it never happens.
And remember all the predictions coming from scientists warning about this global warming issue, right? What's going to be with climate change? You have shifts in the way things are set up, right? Like countries and so on going through certain crises. The possibility of people who are going to be displaced from their homes and have to go to other countries to live. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there.
There's a whole lot of stuff especially of late. You just never know when it's going to hit.
So when you say they'll handle things...
I think just like us, we've somewhat found ways to cope because back, if we have to go back centuries...
Well, let me give you one.
Go ahead.
If it ever happens, right, that St. Lucia is overtaken with water, that we can't live here anymore because of rising sea levels, islands being displaced, what do we do? What do our children do? How do we handle the situation? And especially when you have the more developed countries now closing borders and say, don't come around
I hope
here.
by that time we would have evolved so much that we could now build on the water. We'll have a city on the water. I hope by then we would have evolved so much.
Okay. Now let me bring another thing to your attention and to the attention of our listeners. The Prime Minister says this is the thing that he fears the most, and it's a legitimate fear. Now, we've often heard when people speak about fear that the worst thing to do is to fear something because it's like you're kind of inviting it. What is your take on that one? Do you think that speaking about certain things, because people say, the power of words, what
Life
you
and
say,
death is in the power of the tongue.
What you say, you attract this thing to you. Do you believe that's real? Let me just get Job from the Bible. Job said, "The thing that I greatly fear has come upon me." He always feared being sick and poor and so on. He didn't want that at all. So he always maybe he used to think and meditate and say, boy, I hope one day that this doesn't happen to me. I'm going to lose all my money. I'm going to lose all my status. And he said, the thing that I greatly feared has come upon me. Actually, he said that.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is true then, that what we saying does have an effect on our lives. Or is that maybe that's just myth?
Well, I guess we could go, well, it's a two-pronged thing, right? We could go back to history, we could go back to the Bible. The Bible does have, the different scriptures where, take the case of Job that you mentioned, his greatest fear came to being, right? And for some individuals listening, they would say to you, well, you know what, Andre, my greatest fear, I also experienced it as well. And for some individuals, they'll say, well, that never crossed my mind, and it did happen to me. And when it did happen to me, I had to face the reality of it and find ways to deal with it and accept that reality. Or I've never accepted that reality, but I'm just trying to see what I could do best, which is to live. So I think I would go with life and breath is in the power of the tongue. Because for me personally, I've had experiences where things that I feared happened. And when I decided, you know what, to face my fears head on, okay, nothing is happening. So I've had my own experiences as it relates to that very thing. So I would say, yeah.
So
in some instances, yes.
In some instances?
Yes.
Yeah? Because sometimes some fears are unfounded.
Yeah. Till it happens, yeah. But it depends on what the situation is and what the person's fear is, and them having to live with that when it does happen.
And also, if we're going to talk, say, okay, the Prime Minister has been the one uttering those words, right? Do you think that it is so powerful that one man's fear can affect the entire country? Think of that. That's another thought. Because if most people are not thinking along those lines, then why one person's fear? Why would that be a problem?
Okay, what about one person? Okay, let's take it down to size right now. What about one person? Let's bring it into a relationship. That one person's fear of something happening. Or let's just say, I've always been afraid of, in some instances, for some individuals, they would have said, you know what, I never want to get a divorce. Maybe that person's significant other never knew of that fear, and it happened. You know, because they were constantly maybe either saying it to a friend or relieving it or within their heart and stuff. And as the Bible says that God knows your heart and certain things that you do speak out, it comes to pass. So I'm not quite sure how it happens. I'm not even sure how to weigh that at this time.
Well, okay,
Because
look,
some people have
let's
gone through
take
certain things.
let's take 9/11 for example. When those guys used those aircraft to go into the Twin Towers and so on, to smash into the Twin Towers. I think close to 3,000 people died in that.
Yeah,
Do you think
about that.
those people had a fear that one day some extremist is going to commandeer some aircraft and just slam that
we
thing?
don't know that. They're all dead. So we don't know.
But 3,000?
We don't know.
Wasn't
I
it?
don't know.
No, but you don't have to know. I'm saying to you, did they fear that? I mean, I just think that bad things just happen to everybody.
Yeah, bad
Everybody.
things will happen. You know, we all have our experiences.
So
Some
even
are
if-
worse than others, but bad things do
Even if
happen.
I don't fear something, it doesn't mean it won't happen, right? I didn't fear my vehicle getting smashed on the road. I didn't fear that. That was the last thing on my mind. So I just believe that things happen. Just bad things just happen to people. That's it. Whether you fear, don't fear, it just happens.
And when it
that's my
does
view.
happen, it's me. What do you call it? A test of what?
I just call it life.
Life. Well, pretty much you just say life happens. You never know what's going to come your way, whether it's good or bad.
Our last caller this morning, Silton.
Good morning, Silton.
What did she
says,
say?
"Mwah."
She said she never ever imagined a time like that would have come in her life where she'd be in this position that she is there right now.
Yeah.
So she didn't have to be thinking about it and fearing that. Bad things just happen.
It just happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about that, former President Joe Biden, I guess you must have heard that.
Yeah, I heard it yesterday.
Yeah, he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer, which has spread to his bones. Now, the type of prostate cancer that he has, according to what the experts are saying, it's an aggressive form. So at his age there, I think, I all I could do is hope for the best
Hope
for the
best,
gentleman.
right?
But at his age there, I don't know, how long he will. I don't think he's going to last that long, to be honest with you. As I said, I can't predict those things, but since it's aggressive and considering his age. Now, I read this morning, and it's not the first time I've actually heard it. I think Dr. McDowell said that on a show many, many years ago, Dr. Almus McDowell. He said that for most men, at some point in their lives, they will have to deal with prostate cancer. He said it doesn't happen to all men. In fact, he said that there are some men who actually have prostate cancer, and they're actually able to survive. They don't die from it as a result of the prostate cancer, while others definitely die as a result. So it's a kind of uncomfortable feeling knowing that there's a very huge possibility that yours truly, that may come upon me. That's a possibility, although I don't fear it. Right? But in the case of Joe Biden, well, all I can say, I just wish him all the best.
As it relates to cancer, there's so many different there's so many things coming at you at different times. Sometimes you hear studies being put out there where they say cancer, depending on the type of cancer, it takes about 10 or 5 to 10 years to progress. And in the case of Joe Biden, I'm seeing online and some medical professionals coming out and saying, well, how did they miss that? That would have taken about 10 plus years to develop to the stage of Biden's diagnosis. Did they miss it? I know in 2023, they did come out to say he had some form of skin cancer, and as such, Biden had the best care, even when everyone was saying, well, wait a minute, he's deteriorating, what's wrong with him? His speech was slurred and everything was going on. He had the best care in the world. So what happened? What went wrong? We don't know, but a cancer diagnosis for anyone is a shocker for them, their families. And I have heard some individuals say that not everyone is the same. Everyone handles that diagnosis differently. So one individual, they'll get the diagnosis and they'll be like, you know what, okay, I'm a champ. I could beat this. And they that's the spirit. And for another individual, oh my gosh, I have cancer. I can't do this. I'm going to die. And it just takes a downward spiral from there.
Yeah.
By the time they find out within months, and it's not even at the aggressive stage, they just die within months. They just can't handle it because you diagnosed with cancer, accompanied with stress and other factors. Then I'm not really sure. Cancer itself is just.
Then you start to worry.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You start to worry about it. I remember one time I saw some things on my skin. That's years ago. I saw these things on my skin. And I didn't really bother. I figured, okay, it's gonna go away at some point. When I realized the thing wasn't going away, I said, well, let me go and check. And when I checked, they told me, Andre, you have chicken pox. I said, what? I have chicken pox.
Your facial expression.
I have chicken pox. Right? From the minute I left the doctor's office, that thing just started spreading all over my body.
What?
I'm serious. All the while, it was kind of like it wasn't just 1-2 appearing on my skin. Just 1-2 those
You
things.
sure you were not paying attention to it? And when you left the doctor's office mentally,
That's what I'm saying. The point,
Yeah.
the fact that she said to me, "You have chicken pox," that just changed the entire conversation.
Now you're looking
because now I'm
everywhere,
checking to see.
Yeah.
And all of that night I was sick, man. I was sick. I had fever.
It happens,
and all the
yeah.
while I had the thing. But the fact that she said that to me,
Right.
I said, "Oh my gosh, I
It
have that. I
happens.
have that kind of thing." And all of a sudden now I just see the symptoms just exploded.
yeah, it happens.
And I was down for a while. So you're right. Some people handle these things differently. But he's Mr. Strongman. He's Mr. Strongman. That's the impression he tried to give while he was giving the best years of his life. Because I guess as the most powerful person in the world, that's the sort of aura you want to exude. That you got things under control
and
so
the
on.
president of the United States is a very, very stressful job. So, with that added to everything, and not only that, from the time he kind of bowed out of the race, I knew something was wrong. I'm being honest.
Well, we all knew.
We all knew something was
wrong.
Like, hey, something is wrong. We just, for some individuals, they didn't know what. But now I think people are going back to videos from 2023, 2020, and so on. And there are certain clips that they're taking where he pretty much was saying, okay, maybe I have a diagnosis there. But again, could there have been a cover-up? I'm not saying that there was. I'm just saying, as with anything else, look at I shouldn't say that before someone come at me. But we look at Pope and his situation. Pope Francis and his situation. He was extremely ill, and everybody around them, they kept on putting out the press releases saying, you know what, he's doing well, and, so, and then all of a sudden, although that can happen, Andre, in some cases, some people seem to be doing very, very well, and then all of a sudden they take a turn for the worse. I'm just gonna segue here just a little bit. I had this one friend of mine, his father was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and we were at the hospital, and I actually did, and I think we all are different, but what I did do, I Googled, okay, how do you know when somebody's gonna die? The end of life, the last few hours or moments of them dying. So I did Google that, so I knew what to expect. So when everybody was at his bedside and they're thinking, okay, there are times where he has so much energy and he's talking and he wants to hold everybody, and then after a while it would dip and he would have difficulty breathing, and so I was like, okay, well, he's actually gonna go. because I was right there, and I'm telling his son, holding his son's hand and saying, you better be ready for what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes. And he's like, no. My father is...
That's what you told the guy?
No, not straight out like that. But, you have... Not straight, not like that. Well, I held his hand and I said to him, be ready for what's going to happen.
You still saying the same thing again?
No. And because he's thinking his father... I'm being honest. But he actually told me, he actually said to me, thank you, because when he realized what I was saying...
He could say whatever he wants.
No. When he realized what I was saying, he kind of held my hand and he's like, okay, Keena, what
you see?
No.
You see if I'm in a hospital? Don't come around.
You know what he did? Let me tell you what he did, Andre. What he did eventually was that I said to him, right now, just hug your dad. Just kiss on him. No, I'm telling you what he did, and he did it. No, but it's a good thing that he did because it actually helped. He wasn't in shock when his father died. That's what I'm saying.
I said to you, if I'm ever in a hospital, don't come around.
Everybody is different. Everybody is different. Now, because I know him really, I'm not going to come to you and be like, Andre, your father is going to die. No,
you'll come and tell me that yourself.
No, but strangely enough, I also have this other friend of mine, and his grandmother was in the hospital. Good morning, you are sending your kisses too. And he called me, he says, Keena, my grandmother was just hospitalized and so on, and they said whatever. I said, are you ready? Are you prepared? He says, I know, Keena, you're raw and you like to give it to me raw, I know. But okay, Keena, if you say she is, I'm going to prepare myself. I said, go see her now. It's like, okay, I'm going to go.
Folks, she's still repeating this thing.
It's not funny.
She's still repeating this thing.
And he went actually, and he thanked me after. No. He thanked me after, and he said, because there was a friend of mine.
You're trying to do damage control.
No, there's a friend of mine. There's a friend of mine, right? Before my father died, she said to me, Keena,
you can say what you want. You still tying up yourself.
She said to me, Keena, you need to go to your dad. You need to leave St. Lucia and go visit him before he died.
Oh my God, another one again.
And I said to her, I said to her, nah, I just spoke with a doctor. I have time. And listen. I said to her, I have time, and the next call I got was your father died, like maybe the following day. I couldn't process it, and I'm thinking I should have just listened to her and just gone, right? It doesn't happen for everyone, but sometimes, I don't know, don't come at me. Don't beat the messenger here, like...
Keena,
what?
Keena, you tied up yourself there even more, okay? So, moving forward.
What did I do? I didn't do anything wrong.
Moving forward. The King Solomon said,
what?
If somebody loses their will to live, that's it. It's gone. It's gone. So you ain't helping.
I'd love for somebody to tell me if my mom is gonna die. Just tell me my mom gonna die.
But why do you need somebody to say something like that to you?
No, because sometimes are you holding on to hope, Andre? Like seriously, I held on to hope that my father was gonna live, and in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And I spoke with him the last time, and he says, I love you, and I said, I love you back. Let me tell you, after I got the news, I went numb.
Mm-hmm. And there's some people who give no signs, period.
I went numb.
They just normal,
that's
just
true.
normal, and they just go to sleep and they just don't wake up.
That's how I want to die. I just go to sleep.
Me too.
And I don't wake up.
Me too.
No pain, nada.
So getting back to Mr. Biden, yes. Let's see what's going to happen now. You have these doctors. I'm sorry to say that the doctors, maybe I don't know if they operate like that in St. Lucia, how doctors operate like that. But I find anytime you have U.S. presidents doing a checkup, these doctors are always saying, oh, fine shape, healthy for his age. That's what you usually hear.
Yeah.
So you have that in the secular world, a whole bunch of people just lying. Then you have those in the church now, right, who were around Pope Francis. And you kept hearing the updates. Never once was there any update that says, hey, it looks as though he's in a critical situation.
No, but look at you, Andre. You just came at me and said, why did I have to tell my friend that, hey, you know what? Your grandmother or whatever, your father is going to die. And now you're saying like you needed updates from Pope Francis and by the Patriarch.
No. They were updating the public, not the Pope. Okay? So, and it's when this thing came out, we were all shocked. The man was very, very, very sick. Yeah. So you have these fellas like to do that pappy show, always trying to give you the impression as though, I guess maybe they're thinking along the same lines we were talking earlier. Mm-hmm. That what you think, what you say,
They have to
could affect
protect the
person.
presidency. They have to
So-
put that information out there because they're not sure. You never know if you put the right information out there, what is going to be done with that information.
Trump,
So I guess maybe I'm surprised Trump didn't say anything.
Trump got a. He said enough. We'll get to that in a second.
He did.
Trump had a checkup. I think about maybe a week ago. Oh yeah, man. Oh, he's the great health, great
Same
as health.
thing.
Yeah,
The
same thing.
greatest health.
Yeah, that's they all say the same thing. Now, when Donald Trump heard about Joe Biden's diagnosis, he posted how he's sorry to hear that and whatever. The usual thing, our prayers with you. The usual talk.
thing.
Usual
yeah.
talk. So Bruce Springsteen, right, was performing, I think, last Wednesday at a concert in England, and Bruce Springsteen said some things about him, right, about what he's doing and his administration, basically saying you're all acting like dictators, right? So he took umbrage to that. He took umbrage. Now, Trump knows that Bruce Springsteen is he follows the Democrats.
Yes, he does,
he favors
yeah.
the Democrats, right? So he said something. That's a guy, that just posted, prayers and stuff with you and that kind of thing. He said about Bruce Springsteen because he knows that Bruce Springsteen supports Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, yeah.
He said that Springsteen is a pushy, obnoxious jerk who fervently supported crooked Joe Biden, a mentally incompetent fool. That's what he said about Joe Biden. Okay?
Well,
So all
what
these people- yeah.
then Joe Biden was a mentally incompetent fool because he was taking a jab at Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, that's right.
So now that Biden, that's what usually happens though. Someone dies and they become the best person in the world all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Like, yo, are you serious? But then you actually have to go back to, because people are really good people. And sometimes you rub them the wrong way, and they come at you the way that you came at them.
Yeah, but
and so on. So-
if you're gonna hit Bruce Springsteen, hit Bruce Springsteen. Don't go on Joe Biden.
Well,
You
he
understand?
had to.
At that moment there, that's what he's saying about the guy. That shows you how he genuinely feels. So this talk there about accept this and that and the other, that's just
No, well,
rhetoric.
you have to do
Just
it
rhetoric.
for individuals. Say,
Exactly.
Hey, you know what?
I heard him-
I do prayers for Bruce Springsteen, for Joe Biden and his family and so on. It's a normal thing to do.
I heard him on the weekend there.
So what if he didn't do anything?
I heard him on the weekend saying how he's a man of peace. You could tell the guy is just a fake. You could just tell. You see, I'm a man of peace. I'm a man of
One
peace. What?
day, I think Trump is going to say, so Andre Paul on Rev-Up St. Lucia, you said this about me. I don't know. I just think one day,
He should call my show. He
I
should
just
call my
think
show.
one day someone is going to tell him something. He might just happen to be in the Caribbean, and somebody's going to say Andre Paul said something, and he'll respond to you.
Yeah. I
I
wonder
would
what-
love to know what that response would be.
exactly. But listen, he went even further. With Bruce Springsteen. He spoke about the guy's skin. Apparently, Bruce Springsteen is going for some issues.
Yeah, he has some medical issues.
And he actually went there, about the guy's skin, how the skin is what is all atrophied. Yes. Even, that's where you go in, man.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't realize that he himself he's already old. I think he's 78, somewhere around
First
there.
of all, Donald Trump is the president of the United States, so he needs to be very mindful of what he says. The world is watching, people are watching, and apparently Trump doesn't care one whit. I
Yeah.
could speak, I could say whatever I want, and that's it, and carry on. But again, like I've always said before, where do you draw the line as it relates to Trump? Not only that, Americans voted for him. They knew what they wanted, and that's exactly who they wanted as president of the United States. On top of that, Donald Trump has always been Donald Trump. Very fluid, just saying anything from the time he had his shows on television, and he did have the shows for I think more than 10 years. So, and people loved him then, and people still love him now. So, and some people think he's very funny.
I think so too. I think he's funny as well.
Yeah.
I think he's a very
So
funny
people
guy.
think he's very funny.
But he's not a nice person. He's not a nice person, that's for sure. Okay? And under Joe Biden's watch, we all know what happened or what's still going on, where this ironclad support of Israel, right? There's nothing that can separate us. We will die for Israel, that kind of thing, whether Israel is doing something that is lawful, unlawful. So Joe Biden, like anybody else, right? Donald Trump will find out one day as well that we have to get older and older, and we are going to, our time has come to go. Wouldn't it be a nice thing for people to remember you as a good person, right? Wouldn't it be a nice
Some
thing?
people just don't care.
Imagine what that man's legacy could have been like. I'm talking about Joe Biden.
Joe Biden.
What his legacy could have been. But people remember one thing about this guy. his support of Israel and that carnage.
But not all people remember that one thing about him, his support of Israel. There are other things for some individuals they remember Biden did.
When you think of Bill Clinton, what do you think about?
Monica Lewinsky.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that he didn't do
And let's
other
not
things,
let's not forget impeached as well. He was impeached.
Yeah.
Okay, because he lied boldface. You see, that's what people remember of you. That's your last show. Your last show. So I'm saying, Joe Biden, he'll be remembered for that. That's going to stain his legacy because he could have changed things on the ground. Let me tell you something. It's one thing if you are in a war and you're taking maybe adult life. That's one thing. It's a completely different thing when you're taking away the lives of children. I told you the other day where the elephants surrounded the calves during the time of this earthquake
yeah,
that was in real time. They all surrounded the most vulnerable because they know that's the future of tomorrow, right?
Yes.
They know that instinctively, right? You have other animals in those in the animal kingdom. Buffaloes, for example, you can tackle any member of the buffalo gang. They don't even bother with you. You see, you go and mess around. A lion were to go after a little one who's in the clan there. Let me say, in the hood. Let me say that those male bulls will come after you, man, and they don't care if they lose their lives because they're protecting the little one.
The little ones. Yeah.
There was a penguin one time. The penguins, the males, the father, right? He's not the one who goes out and does the hunting. The mother penguin does that. And they showed you. I watched this in a documentary. The father penguin has the little one between his legs, and basically he takes his little wings, or what do you call it, and secures the little one there. Now that's to avoid unwanted predators and so on. He's there to stand up for that little one. And it's during the winter time, and that little penguin is there getting warmth and whatever food that they have left. The father will not eat anything.
Right.
Whatever the food they have, that goes to that little one. The mother goes out there and stays out for weeks, and then she finally comes back home. When she comes back home, she comes to the father and the little one, and she motioned to the father, I saw this. Okay, let me have him, please. That kind of thing. And imagine the father is reluctant to let the little one go. He's reluctant. Almost like he developed a little relationship there already.
Bonding.
Yes, he's reluctant. You could see the mother has to come and cajole him and to push him a little bit to he understand, hey, I brought the food now. The point I'm making to you, look at you have those in the animal kingdom behaving like that. And you have a human being who's supposed to know the difference between right and wrong. And you're telling me, you know what I saw? I saw in Gaza there a few days ago. You ever heard of a triple amputee? You ever heard of that? Triple. A 7-year-old child who's in Jordan as we speak because they had to ask the Israeli military for special permission to take a group of children. Give Jordan that, give Jordan that. They take the little ones who have cancer and things like that in Gaza to take them over to Jordan so that they can get treatment. The little girl, a 7-year-old girl, triple amputee. She lost both her arms, and she lost one leg.
Wow.
So all she has is one leg, no arms. And to see the little child sitting on a hospital bed with a toe scrolling on a cell phone, to see that she's already trying to get used to what her life is going to be like.
Right.
And fellas like Joe Biden, Donald Trump, now you have people starving in Israel, in Gaza. It is crazy.
To add to what you add about people starving, I think it's one of the world's hunger crises that's unfolding in real time.
Yeah.
What's happening in Gaza.
And instead of the U.S., instead of these countries now sanctioning Israel, just like I spoke to you about the movie yesterday, where the wife stood up and tell me, say, you ain't slapping me and you're not slapping no child, and you're going to call that child back. I'm issuing a sanction now against you. You're not sleeping in that bed with me. No cushy for you.
Yeah.
Okay, for the next month or whatever the case may be.
I hope world leaders really do step up and be like, you know what, enough of it because of the ongoing blockade. So many people are starving. The entire, I think, what's the population of Gaza right now?
I think
over
2 million, about 2 million.
2 million. They have been facing prolonged food shortages. That's what you've been saying. That's a hunger crisis right there in itself.
But the hospitals
where
you have no medicine going in.
Then disease, Nah, I don't think that's a situation.
They're
for-
living in tents and so on. This is crazy what's going on there. It's crazy. And Joe Biden was aware of all of that. He did nothing to stop it. Nothing. That's what people are going to remember about this guy. And you have Donald Trump now. It's not going to be any better.
I think the WHO have spoken about it, and they're asking, for other countries, to step in and say, you know what, this is really something. This is really, really serious.
But I'm saying the British ambassador to the United Nations, they all talk the talk. Israel, start allowing food to get into Gaza. Allow it. You are committing a war crime. They speak the speak, but guess what? They talk the talk, but they don't say or else.
Yeah, that's what should happen.
There's no or
the
else.
or else aspect of it.
Because
yeah.
you're pay. They're afraid. All right? Anyway, boy, that thing does just get me so pissed when I think about it. It's really, really an annoying thing. And folks, we're signatories to all kinds of things. Protection of children, rights and this and that and the other. And you have that thing taking place there. And for the most part, our people don't really, really care. Look, yesterday I was reading about Jamaica. You know how many child abuse cases they've had, I think, over the last 2 years?
About 3,000.
Over 3,000. Over 3,000 child abuse cases. And that involves having sex with children under 16. In some cases, rape of those children.
That is insane. Something has to be done.
And they said so far, for 2024 in Jamaica, over 300 sex abuse cases reported so far for the year. This is madness.
Something has to be done.
Madness.
Something has to be done.
And we tolerate those things. We don't say anything, like it doesn't bother us because you figure it's not in my home, right? But we'd be surprised as to what's going on in that house. The amount of abuse that's taking place. The children just not saying anything. Sometimes I see some little children, some young girls, and I say to myself, boy, I wonder what that child was going through. Where you could see the stress in their eyes, in their face. You could just see it, and you could see they're already looking like they're advanced in terms of the way that they carry themselves and so on. And you could see there's an underage child. She's not supposed to be walking like that and behaving that kind of way, right? You see them whining in the middle of the road. Yes, they're whining just so at a little young age. What is a little telltale signs as to what's going on in the lives of these children? And we just see those things.
What they're exposed to as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's
That's a
awful.
contributing factor for a lot of them.
Awful. We have to care, even if
we need to kind of, even though we have that mentality, it's not, some of us that is, it's not happening to me, so I'm not bothered. It's not in my household, so I'm not bothered. Or we maybe hear the screams, or we know that child is going through a difficult time, but we don't say, hey, well, you know what, let me go to social services to see what can be done,
Yeah. And we don't condemn bad behavior. Okay? So, Mr. Biden, I wish you all the best, sir. I hope you can get some treatment that's going to help you to make your pain a lot more manageable, right? Because no doubt he's going to be surrounded by the best doctors and so on.
Yeah, most definitely.
You know what? Just a quick thing before we get into the shout-outs. It's amazing how world leaders do not learn from others. Okay? Almost all of them go through the same thing. And so for some reason, they think as though being bad is the baddest thing, is the best thing in the world. When you talk about people like Pope Francis and all the nice things they say about the Pope, they figure that's for him.
Yeah.
That ain't for me.
But I'll just like to add to what you say. You said rather that the news of Biden's diagnosis, it pretty much serves as a stark reminder of the importance of regular health checkups and screening and early detection, especially as it relates to cancer. As they say, and you have had statistics out there, that prostate cancer is actually the second most common cancer among men, and its risk increases with age. So it's important. The symptoms, the urinary problems, blood in the urine, pelvic discomfort, and other things. So if any of our men out there are experiencing any of the symptoms or so, don't wait for the symptoms. Just go and get your screening done.
I agree with you 100%. And we have to do the best that we can to take care of ourselves, because we just have one body. And that's all we have. That's all we're going to carry with us in the grave. We take nothing else except this body. And it's just sad to see the way we treat this body while we are on this side of life. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into the shout-outs.
So
let's say big up to Tony Paul again.
Good morning.
He's probably listening, but I know he's under the weather, and hopefully he'll be with us maybe later this week. Okay? Oh, by the way, Zen the DJ is back.
Welcome back, Zen.
Zen was under the weather. He was under the weather last week.
Welcome.
Yeah, imagine
back.
a whole week the man down.
It happens. It happens.
So welcome back, Zen. He'll be
So-
back this afternoon from 3 o'clock. All right?
Okay.
So there's a high probability, folks, depending on what happens to Tony Paulette today, he may not be in to do the usual Rev Up the Homegrown on Monday and maybe on Wednesday as well. Let's see what happens. Okay?
Yeah.
But as Donald Trump would say, our thoughts, our prayers are with you.
Yes. Thoughts and prayers are with you. So let us go to the WhatsApp platform first. Actually, Albert sent me a message on WhatsApp, and he says, he gave me a riddle, but to answer your riddle, I think the answer is tomorrow. So good morning to Albert. He's always listening. He's in the United States. He's a huge fan. Moving on
Albert.
to the first individual to chime in. Okay, the person said, Alpha, cool out, my friend, and with just laughing emojis.
Oh, that was this morning.
That was
Yeah.
this morning. So Josie Ann chimed in and she says, good morning, Rev-Up family. A blessed and productive week to all. Good morning, Josie
Morning,
Ann.
Josie.
Morning.
A blessed and productive week to you and your entire family as well.
A.G. Simpson says, Andre, I'm back. I sent you a message on WhatsApp.
Oh, he did because I responded.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I guess you'll
responded to
respond
his
as well.
message. Or maybe he responded to my response.
maybe.
Mm.
Someone else chimed in and says, blessed Monday to Andre, Tony, and Lady Keena. Pleasant day, each of you. Lots of rain these days. Hope it isn't affecting y'all. TP missing you, but please get well soon. We must all stop walking in the rain to get wet. I would like to send condolences to two lady friends from Choiseul who are listening, Mrs. Mary Alexander of Bellevue and Miss Linda Jabatis of Reunion. They are mourning the loss of their cousin who passed. Blessings and love from Tekla Auger of Yefor. Thank you. Someone else chimed in and says, what's the name of the insurance company? It's Mirage Insurance Agency. Okay. So moving on to the Facebook platform now. Let's go here. The first person to chime in on the Facebook platform was Pearl Food Baby Henry. She says, good morning and blessed new week to the Rev-Up St. Lucia family and all in the chat room. Next, we have Lon Jules. He says, good morning to my local TMZ station in St. Lucia. Good morning, Keena and Andre.
Local TMZ. Oh.
He also went on to say, call him P. Diddy because he literally peed on Cassie. Ouch.
Oh, shit. Oh, my
Ouch.
God.
He actually did. Cassie did say he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Ooh,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah. With that one, Lon. Okay, thank you,
Yeah,
Lon.
yeah.
Nancy Callender says, good morning, guys. Good morning, Nancy.
Sorry.
Good morning,
Don't
Lon.
you think that is just so disrespectful?
It is disrespectful. And she actually said during her testimony that she almost choked. It was him and I think an escort. That's crazy. To
But
have someone
I'm talking
subjected to that,
more
that's
so.
like-
It's one thing if you're forcing someone. You know, there's some people who allow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you allow that. You
that's very
allow a
disrespectful.
man to do that to you, or a woman to come and do that to you. That's mad, boy.
Disrespectful. Johnny Tom says, bless good morning, Rev-Up family. Good morning, Johnny Tom. Lon Jules again chimed in and he said, one second, something popped up on screen. He said, Kim Porter is dead mysteriously. Well, allegedly. People are saying, but they did say that she had pneumonia or something of that sort. That was what the autopsy results said that she died from. Lucita Japierre says, good morning, Andre and beautiful Keena. Hope you feel better. And to Jerome, feel better. I was about to say is the gauge, but I take that back. Ask Charlie for some medication. Hope to see you soon, but I know you're listening and viewing.
All right, Lucita, thank you very much. I shall certainly pass on the message.
D. Francis Obi says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, D. Francis.
Morning, D. Francis. Welcome back. Welcome back. I think she had a loss in the family.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Didi.
sometime last week.
Kisses?
So hope you're doing well and that you're slowly getting back to your original self. Yeah.
Lucita Japierre returned, chimed in and says, good morning, everyone, on live and Radio Garden, Shed Alive. D. Francis and Lucita responded to each other. Westy Duet. I love that name, Westy Duet. He says, blessings on the day to all. Someone says something about Marcella Johnson for Grosile. Alexandria. One second. Alexandrine Lisa. She says, "Good morning, Rev-Up family. Blessed day and week to everyone." Lon Jules returned and says it was 40 million and dropped to 20 million. That's in response to the figure that Cassie got from PDD
Okay.
when she filed that lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
West Duet returned and said, "The evil that men do will always come back to haunt them."
Yep, it's called karma.
Agneta St. Marie says, "Good morning to all Rev-Up family. Big up everyone." Lon Jules chimed in again. He says, "A lot of us could be on the sidelines saying this could never happen to me unless we find ourselves in the same situation. Some people are good manipulators, narcissists, and sociopaths."
Talking about what? I'm a little confused.
I think when you were saying, okay, I think you're talking about then, when you were saying that, do you believe that, and you gave the story of Job in the Bible.
Oh, the
that's when
thing
he
that I
was
greatly fear.
Things that you greatly fear, yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't remember exactly what that was, but I remember Job. I think that's what he was referring to. Wested Wet says, Keena PDD was PDD and he is a monster. Lord Jules chimed in, says Chris Brown is in jail until June 13th. I love that about our viewers and listeners, that when they chime in, they're actually very participatory and they're, giving us the information and so on. I love that. So Lord Jules, thanks for that.
And in some cases, rearranging our ignorance. Yes.
Yes. So thank you for that. Jan Blas Warner says, "Good morning to all. Tony and Kiki, do have a great day. Remain safe." Barbara Xavier says, "A pleasant Monday to all. Have a great day. Bless, said love." So Lucita Jean-Pierre says, "Keena, the home insurance went up so high. Unbelievable. Ouch." I'll find out what it is, Lucita. Send me a message. Send us a text message to our WhatsApp platform. They should be in later on this afternoon, maybe about 2. I'll find out. Just give me details and I'll pass on their number to you. Lon Jules says, "The baby boomers is the best generation that is living. They live through the 20 and 21 century." And he came back and he says, "Fear is part of life. There is a healthy one, fear, and toxic fear. It is up to the individual on how to handle that."
I wonder what's the healthy fear? How would you describe a healthy fear?
That at some point in time something is going to happen and you found ways to deal with it. Like you're not really stressing over it or overly worried about it and panicking all the time. That you found some ways to handle that aspect of fear. You're pretty much facing it head on. It's going to happen nonetheless. I'm going to face it. Pretty much, I think. Yeah. Colita Augustine says, "Bless Monday to the beautiful people." Good morning, Colita. Thank you for chiming in. Lon Jules also says, "The big 4 fears, which encompasses a large portion of human fear experiences, we are failure, success, rejection, and fear of selling." Kenton Harry says, Isaiah 41:10 says, "Helpful votes, helpful, not helpful fear, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." And he went on to say, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, he says, "Helpful votes, helpful, not helpful, for God gave us spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." Thank you, Kenton Harry. Lon Jules returned and says, "Healthy fear motivates safety and proactive behavior, while toxic fear can lead to paralysis, conflict, and alienation." Alet Richard says, "Blessed week to the Rev-Up crew."
Hey, morning, Alet.
Patricia Benjamin says, "Morning, Rev-Up family. Have a great day." Lon Jules Return chimed in and says, "The Bible encourages people to cast their anxieties on God, trust in His strength, and remember His promises to overcome fear." Thank you, Lon. He also went on to say a lot of people have a fear of dying, fear of flying, etc. And someone says, "Now you speak the word." And Lon Jules is chiming in and really supporting Marcella Johnson here in the chart. Westy Duet went on to say, "Stress for all president except Donald." Lucita Jean-Pierre returned. She says, you will have to run a paid ad on Rev-Up St. Lucia to promote Miss Johnson. Okay, Westy Duet returns, says, Keena, I could link you up for someone who could speak to women, has been diagnosed with cancer, one of the best. Lon Jules also returned, chimed in and said, many people seem to have an intuitive sense of awareness that they are nearing the end of their lives, especially when facing terminal illnesses. Jan Blas Warner says, okay, in response to Lon says, what's happening in Gaza is genocide, no two ways about it. Jan Blas Warner responded to Lon Jules's comment, and she says, very, very sad state of affairs. Lon Jules also chimed in again and says, crimes against humanity. Kenton Harry chimed in once more, said, Andre, sin does not operate in the animal kingdom as it does in humans. Lon Jules also returned, chimed in and said, what about those parents who knowingly prostitute their own children? And he went on to say, it's important that men over 50 take a colonoscopy and women over 30 a mammogram. Thank you, Lon. Jan Blas Warner sends best wishes to Tony and says, get better, Tony. You are missed immensely. Westy Duet came back and said, we are living in a lost and confusing world where we call good evil and evil good, right wrong and wrong right. Christine Shalry also chimed in, and she says, blessed Monday to all. Good morning, my beautiful, wonderful people. Blessed day to all. That's Davison Juk Regis. He chimed in. D. Francis Obey says, thanks. And Septima Joseph, our final individual to comment on our Facebook platform. She just simply said, good morning.
Alrighty. Mm-hmm. So, we have a little time still.
Yeah, we do, actually.
Yeah, so let's talk about Vibes Cartel and his
Cartel
and his troubles, his challenges.
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 You see, a challenge. Okay, let's shoot.
Yes. Some challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I think he released some song. I think the song is called "Good Like Jesus," but apparently he's making some connection between the female genitalia and Jesus Christ.
I don't know why he did that.
I have no idea. I'm saying, what is Vibes Cartel thinking, Missy? What are you thinking? Now, remember we spoke about him. Was it last week? We were saying that he said he's made some changes in his life.
And so on, and then you come release that song.
Like,
what are you thinking? But anyways.
Yeah. So he's supposed to be performing in Guyana. They already said that song, they wanted banned on the airwaves. Not supposed to be played there. And I definitely agree.
I agree.
You have to understand that there's a certain line you just don't cross.
Yeah.
It's just a question of respect, showing respect for people and their beliefs. You may not believe in what the person is believing. And let me add here, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah? The amount of people who didn't believe a particular thing, and now they come and they say, I'm sorry, I was wrong about that.
Right.
Yesterday I was watching one of the MPs there in Britain, and he was talking and saying he was in full support of what Israel was doing, but he said, I changed my mind now. Now I see what's going on, I changed my mind. Now imagine the amount of damage that's done already because him saying he's supporting at that particular point in time. But the point is that people do change, which is a good thing.
Which is a good, yeah.
So you may not think that makes sense to you. In your mind, maybe Jesus Christ, but for some people,
exactly,
he's the world, and you have to respect that. Even if you may feel that when you figure you have your right to write whatever song you want to write, but just be sensitive to people's feelings and beliefs and so on. Just not because you do not understand something that you just have to discard it. You understand?
That's true. I think it was very disrespectful of him to do that. Your belief is your belief, and you want to put it in song, sing it at your home.
Exactly.
But again, we do not know what people out there also think, but still, that's going to be played on the airwaves. So the onus is on the media houses to say, you know what, I am not going to play this for, have this out there for public consumption. If people want, go YouTube and find it, but it will not be aired on the airwaves, and that's what's very most important in that case.
There's an organization in Ghana, they made it clear that they want the song banned, and also they said they'll be having talks with the promoter of the event in Guyana. Now, in Trinidad, they've actually gone further, much, much further. They are trying to limit his interaction with the locals. They're trying their best. In other words, you come in to perform, just keep it there.
Just keep it
You
there.
come to
right,
perform,
right.
just do your vibe, and you go about your business, kind of thing. And they've actually now decided, I think that's the Minister for Defense in Trinidad, saying that they're going to limit the age group going to his shows. I think you must be 18 and older. Yeah, yeah. Now, that's really something else, huh? And I was saying he's done his time already, but the defense minister is arguing that Cartel got off on a technicality.
He did.
And you remember the story. For those of us who remember all the details, apparently there was a what seemed to be a tainted juror.
Yeah.
And I think that juror had offered another juror money and so on. That came out. That actually came out.
Just got off on a technicality.
Yeah. So the judge now made a serious mistake by allowing that juror to remain on the panel. So that's the mistake that judge made. And the judge was trying to explain. He said if he had removed the juror, that they have to get somebody new and start the whole process all over again and this sort of thing. I guess he figured that and the trial had gone on for so long already.
Yeah.
I think that's the longest running trial in Jamaican history.
Jamaica at the time.
So he made that decision, but it was a poor decision. So Carter's lawyers appealed that now, the Privy Council, and the Privy Council said, well, okay, you now decide whether you free him or you retry him. So the state said to go over that whole process
that's
again.
That's going to be a lot of expense on the state.
It's tedious. You have witnesses and so on to recall those people. Some of them probably figure, man, I'm moving my life. I don't want to get involved with that anymore, kind of thing. So so they said he got off on a technicality. So as far as they're concerned in Trinidad, he is guilty, and he didn't really pay enough for what he did to Clive Lizard. Okay.
But as well as what's happening in Trinidad and what the defense minister was saying there, Wayne Sturg, I think his name is, he was saying that Cartel had to make so many different public appearances for that. And they're saying, no, we do not want that. But Cartel has come out since then and released a statement, and he says that he supports the government's decision, and he wasn't throwing blame or playing victim. He called it like it is, that the promoter pretty much, he said, went rogue, trying to add to events to his schedule that had nothing to do with the agreed performance, and so the government pulled the plug on those unauthorized extras because it should not have happened. And I have to commend the government, well, actually the minister and the government of Trinidad for saying, what, nah, that ain't gonna happen. And Cartel now coming out and saying, you know what, I mean, I do have to agree with the government's decision that I wouldn't have to, meet anyone or so on. I just want to come perform, and that's it.
Yeah, you just go about your business.
Yeah.
I think they're concerned that if he spoke with the young people, his influence will not be a good thing for the youth that he's going to be speaking with. And I think he did plan to visit, I think, maybe a youth center, I guess, where you have juveniles and so on.
Oh, yeah. That sort of thing. And
I think young brother did that here, right?
Young brother actually went to the boys training center when he was here, which I applaud him for. That was just really amazing for him to do. And you know what is shocking? Because when Vibes Cartel, and I do not want to be judgmental, and I hope that I'm not coming across like that when he was released from prison, he seemed to have, be like, everything was positivity for him, and he seemed to have been, but the song that you mentioned, I haven't heard the song, but since his release from prison, he has been focusing heavily on change, and not just music, but in his messaging as well, and he has been speaking more directly to the youth after his release from prison, those who might be on the edge or walking a dangerous path and so on. He also, I think, spoke to, I can't remember, was it the Breakfast Club or another some host in the United States, and he spoke about him bleaching and the dangers of it. So him now having to release that song on comparing Jesus Christ to, I'm in shock. I haven't heard the song, and I don't think I want to listen to it. I'm not interested. But if you're walking one path, stick to that. And then again, somebody would say, well, you know what, music sells, and that's what people want. But you putting it out there, and if we have to go way back, the Calypsonians, the Mighty Sparrows, and so I heard some of the songs when I was a child. I didn't even know what it meant. Still, I listen to it now, and I don't know what they're saying. And I'm not going to try to figure it out. But if you just come out directly and put it out there, people now know it. Okay, well, that's what you're referring to, and that's what it is. So play with the words a bit, go back to go take some classes from Mighty Sparrow and those before him.
I don't know if you've heard the song by, I think, Itana and Beanie Man. There's a song that they're giving
You
praise.
told me about that,
Yes.
and the moment you said that, I'm like, I'm not going to listen to it, and I never did.
And I thought they would have cleaned up that song by now.
Well, maybe a DJ might, but no, a DJ. I'm not a DJ. Yeah, well, yeah, a DJ might at some point in time.
Right.
Not a clean version.
But I'm saying Itana and Beanie Man ought to know. And it's a nice song, actually, giving praises to the Most High. But I don't know, something wrong with these artists. You can't tell me you're giving praises to the Most High and you're using that kind of language in a song
in the
like
song,
that.
right.
Imagine some of the artists right now, when I play them, it's a song praising the Most High. I have to actually type in clean.
Yeah.
Because they say some things, I have to ask myself,
But as well,
there's a disconnect there.
There was always the radio version and the raw version of songs.
I understand that.
And now it's so difficult to even find a radio version for airing.
I understand that. But I'm saying you're going to write a song, you're giving praises to the Most High. Why do you
It
need to
should not
use
have happened.
offensive
Obscenities and
language in the
offensive
thing?
language, it
It
should
doesn't
not
make
have
sense to
happened.
me. What are
don't
you
know.
thinking? What are you thinking? To me, it just tells that where you at
Yeah.
in terms of how you view spiritual things and how important those things are to you. Which is surprising because Etana, I didn't really see her as being that
No, never
sort
have.
of person.
Never have.
And it's a really nice song, but I can't get a clean version. When I get a clean
Hopefully
version,
the next
I'll
couple
pay.
of weeks there might
I'll
be
pay.
a clean version, but for now, nah.
I just want to mention something just before we leave. In New Zealand, they have restrictions on what names you can name your child.
Oh, thank
Right.
God for that.
In New Zealand. So some of the names that they think that you shouldn't call your child is things like King. You can't call a child King. You can't call a child Duke. You can't call a child Emperor. And you can't call a child Majesty. You can't do that,
Sheesh.
right?
Yeah, I was hoping I'd call my child Majesty.
Well, thank God we're not in New Zealand.
I
But-
wonder if we have laws in St. Lucia, if it's the same.
I don't know.
I wonder.
There's some names I think they do not grant because they're afraid that that person is going to be bullied at some point in their life based on the name.
Like,
Let me see. I wonder if I could find it. Let me see if I could find it. Oh gosh. Let me see. Oh gosh, I can't come across it right now at all. Oh yes. Nutella.
Nutella?
Yeah, Nutella. They say
Okay.
because of the risk of humiliation.
Nutella.
Nutella. I
Okay.
don't know what it is about
I'll
Nutella.
have to double check the meaning.
Yes,
but-
definitely. But there's an interesting name that stood out.
what's the name?
It really stood out. And that person actually has that name. Here we go. The person
You're laughing already,
yeah, I'm
Andre.
laughing because I never see that one. I never come across that before. That's a classic. That's a classic, right? So also you can't name your child Superman and Metallica. You can't do that, right? And here's the other one now. Here's the other name.
Superman.
Here's the other name. Listen to the name of a person. BRF XXCC MNP LLL
What? That's a code.
MNN PRX VCL MNC KSS QIQLBB 1116.
What? That's a code or something. No, but the celebrities lately, I just need, like, oh my God, Elon Musk has oh my word.
He loves X.
He loves
he loves
the
X.
names he has for his children, my word. Jeez, man. But that wasn't a name, that was a code.
I don't know what that is. No, imagine you have
No,
to say,
imagine you have, right.
Good morning, Mr.
BFL.
BFX XCCC.
Imagine that child have to write their name.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's somebody's name.
No man. Some people do hate the names that their parents, to call. I mean, if
You
we
mean-
have
you
to
mean the
go,
godparents, you
their
mean?
godparents,
Godparents.
or the the whatever it is. But some of us hate our names
They
or the
said
middle names.
I think back in my day, they named you after a saint.
Yeah.
Right now,
That's dope.
I have a name that I hated. Well, I didn't hate it. I think my friends in school caused me to hate it.
What name was that?
I can't tell you that. So they caused me to hate that name, right? And I got rid of it. I removed that from my
Really?
life, period, because
Is it
it
on
was
your ID?
associated. No.
But
It
you
was
better
a
get rid of it.
It was associated with something really, really negative. Now, listen, that name, they named me after a saint. Now, you never hear much about that particular saint. I don't know why, unless that's a make-up name. I don't know. But apparently that person was a saint. So that's how they named us back in the day. The name was fine. It's a nice name. But, people now use it and they associate it with certain things. So I hated that name. I don't want to be called that. I don't want to hear it. Mabli Tunley. So I know some of you all must be wondering what am I talking about. You all are very good at go and do your homework. So go and dig up. Go and dig up. Come back and tell me. But that name, I have nothing to do with that, man. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I hated my middle name.
Oh, see, now we're talking now.
No, I'm being quite honest. I remember, I never at school I would write it but at school you had to write all your names, right? So your first, and if you have two middle names, write your two middle names and your last name. But when not everyone, just one, I think it was just two individuals, when they saw me write it, my middle name, they're like, what? Georgie, Porgy, put it in pie. She's a girl that make them cry.
You see what I mean? You see what I mean?
I was like, really? And then as I got older, when they start Georgie, Porgy, I'm like, Georgie, Porgy, I'm back in it too. And that's how I got to love it. Like, you're going to come at me like, Georgie, Porgy, okay. If you can't beat them, join them, right? Georgie, Porgy, put it in pie. Whatever it is.
You see?
But every time I have to write it, every time I see Georgie, I'm like, really, of all names to give me Georgie?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Nowadays, kids don't have to worry about those things because they get some real beautiful names.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful names, man. But back in the day, I mean, anyway, we go on and on. all the names you could ever imagine. I say, how somebody can tell me, you're not imaginative, you're not creative to think of a nice little name of all names?
But Georgie was a nice name. You just have to say it right.
Well, yeah, I don't have a problem with the Georgie. I find Georgie is a nice name for
No,
you.
I don't like it. Yeah,
and I suspect
it's
I know
because,
exactly why.
the taunting. Yeah,
Exactly.
but now I'm pretty much good with it.
Yeah. I'm not good with mine at all. That's history. I don't ever want to hear
No,
that
but
name.
it's one thing to have the name. Just imagine you have a really, really strange name that you were picked on for. And then as you get older, then you have that nickname, that alias. And you're like, what? Sometimes you watch a deaf announcements and you're like, really?
Yes,
okay.
yes. And some individuals actually embrace the name. You
Yeah,
know.
man.
They embrace it to the point you don't even know their real name.
Yeah,
They
man.
just embrace that
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Feel proud of it. Yeah. Okay, so we got to wrap up. Again, let's say good morning to our brother, Tony Paul. My brother, Tony Paul, and Keena's comrade.
Hi, Tony. We miss you on here.
Yeah, we
The
hope
listeners miss you too.
you feel better, that you're going to be back with us soon, that everything is all right. Okay? Good stuff. So, Keena, thank you very much for the time. We
You're
certainly
welcome.
appreciate it. What do you have coming up today on your show?
The usual Want It Wonder hit of the day. Rev-Up Slu News with Andre Paul. Safe Streets, Strong Communities. Today I'm diving into the critical topic where crime pretty much has no address, and focusing on when violence peels over. It's no longer this particular area that we consider to be a bad zone. It's spilling over in our society. And in a major public health victory for the Caribbean, 3 countries have achieved a milestone in eliminating mother-to-child transmission of HIV. So I'm going to tell the listeners which countries that have been listed on there as well. Our St. Lucian Sprint sensation, she's been doing very, very well in Texas, London. I'll talk on that as well. The weather watch, there's something happening in our atmosphere of late, and anything in entertainment, and not forgetting the Rev-Up Slu News with Andre Paul right there.
All right. Okay. Well, Keena, have yourself a great show.
Thank you so
Those
much.
of you listening on 97.1 FM, please stay with us. Also online, RevUpSLU.com. Please stay with us. But we're going to have to say so long to those of you on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X, and also our viewers and listeners on DBS. Thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate your company. And you can check us out tomorrow morning, same time from 10 o'clock for another Hard Drive. Bye-bye.
Labry Carnival Committee and Samfire Events presents Dancing with the Stars Country and Bucket Time Party happening on Friday, May 23rd from 8 p.m. on the Labry Basketball Court. Admission is only $10. Come be entertained by the old school master, Andre Paul. The undisputed boss of country music,